Today is January 4th, 2026, and welcome to the 469th nice episode of the So Videogames podcast. Happy New Year, folks. Happy New Year. We made it to the new year. What does that mean? Who knows? But what I do know is that here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. I also know this. My name is Brad Galloway. I'm the one-man host of the show. I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a website that uses the full range of review scores and also offers full accessibility information on every review that we publish. Folks, we're here. It's been a minute since the Game of the Year show. That was exciting. Hope you all enjoyed that. Many thanks to Carlos Rodella for coming aboard and sharing his picks. I was quite surprised. I know he was surprised by mine. It's always fun to do that. As I said before, I really appreciate that. Basically, everybody's top 10 that I read this year was different from everybody else's top 10. I mean, yeah, we all really liked Expedition 33, sure. But like beyond that, it was like really varied, like so many different choices. I don't think, in years past, we've often seen like the top 3 on a lock pretty much across the board, but that's just not true anymore. And I really appreciate that. So we're going to continue that energy. Going to be looking for new games, lesser known games, indie games, small games, interesting games, anything out there to bring to you. And we'll talk about them as they come. What's going on right now? Well, America is officially a dictatorship. That's exciting. Not going to talk a whole lot about that because I know this podcast is like a place people go to escape the real world. But gosh darn it, I feel like that's a pretty big thing that we should probably discuss. The orange orangutan basically took over Venezuela because he felt like it. Wanted to divide up the oil resources, killed a bunch of innocent civilians, kidnapped the president without any official approval, without declaring war, without Congress being involved. We are effectively a dictatorship right now. So hopefully that changes pretty soon. Not too happy about that. And I don't mean to be so flip, but again, this isn't a political podcast. It's actually super serious and super concerning to me. But this is not the podcast for that. And if anybody wants to talk about that, hit me up in the Discord. That's fine. What else has been going on? What else is going on? I guess, it's been eventful otherwise. I record in the Game Critics West studio, which is located in my basement, which is also doubling up as my action figure display area. If you listen to the show for any length of time, I'm a huge action figure fan. As a child of the 80s who was brainwashed into spending money on all these hyper commercialized toys back in the day before lots of regulations came into play and we were just drenched in TV content that was just one step above being an active commercial. And gosh darn it, we liked it. We liked it back then. Did you hear my old man voice there? I put that on for a second. So I love action figures, and I have all my action figures on display, which is great. Just as a little bit about me, I've loved action figures ever since I was a kid, and I held on to some of them, not all of them. My mom was one of those terrible cliche moms who were like, every once in a while, they'd be like, you just got too many action figures, and they would just like grab them and sell them. My mom was real big on doing garage sales as I was a kid, and a lot of my stuff that I had back in the day got sold off, and I think that was pretty traumatic. So, as a means of self-medication, I really leaned pretty hard into action figure collecting as I get older, and that's fine. Everybody's got to do something with their time, do something with their money. I don't do clubbing. I'm a faithful husband. I don't collect sports cars. I don't go on fishing trips. I don't do stupid stuff. I don't drink. If you don't drink, you save a lot of money by not drinking. I don't do drugs. I mean, I'm pretty clean living. I like sex. Sex is pretty good for me. Sex and action figures are basically my two hobbies, right? And so, got the wife, don't have to pay for sex. But the action figures do not come free. And so I got them all in display here. And since I am in the basement, and I do live in the Seattle area, it's pretty wet up here. And when we moved into this place, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I really did. First time homeowner. It was a miracle we bought the place. Didn't know a lot about home owning. And really the enemy of every house is water. You don't really think about that until you buy a house. And then you realize every day your house is on earth. The earth is trying to destroy your house in like 1,000 different ways. And the easiest way to destroy your house is by water. Water leaks in, water drips somewhere, water gets on something, water causes mold and mildew and rot and dry rot and all sorts of stuff. It is a constant battle to keep your house from disintegrating because the earth is so powerful. Didn't know that, but I know that lesson really well now. So why am I saying all this? Because I was in the basement the other day, a couple days ago, and I heard a sound. It is the sound I hate more than any other sound on earth. It is drip, drip, drip. When I fucking hear that sound, it is war. It is on and danger is happening and there's a problem. So I heard that and I'm like, oh my God, something's dripping, something's leaking somewhere. And it turned out that behind one of the shelves where I keep my action figures, we had sprung a leak in one of the basement walls and it was leaking. It wasn't huge and I happened to be here when it happened, which was actually really fortunate. But it became a puddle pretty quickly. I was like scrambling, grabbing towels, grabbing rags, got a bucket, mop, and I was just trying to contain it. Had to like take all the toys out of the cabinet that was on display. I was just throwing them in like random places on top of the washing machine. Put them on the desk. Put them on the floor. Move over here. Get them out of there. Move the cabinet out. Had to get to the wall like ASAP. And I got to it. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. We've had some pretty severe leaks in the past. This one wasn't too bad, but I do have a lot of basement patching in my near future. In fact, I'm going to be buying some supplies later on after the show. So I'll be doing some masonry later. Can add that to my list of achievements. So I got that, but I'm standing in the middle of a fucking colossal mess. I'm surrounded by action figures on every fucking flat surface. I have nowhere I'm literally standing in like a little 1 foot by 1 foot square of clear air because I was like so desperate to get to that wall in a hurry. I just was like going madcap. So that doesn't make me happy. I got to get this place back in order. It's kind of a mess. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully I don't knock anything over during the show. If you hear a clattering or a cracking or a snapping or me saying, oh shit, that's probably me stepping on an action figure. Hopefully that won't happen. Fuckers are hard to replace. Otherwise, something else, little tidbit. My Xbox X was making a weird sound in the fan. Only sometimes. It was making kind of a weird sound. Like as the fan was spinning, it would just be like click, 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 click. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I haven't used the Xbox very much. I mean, I play it, but it doesn't get like heavy use. I mean, I don't play it for like 8 hours a day. I think it's been pretty light duty so far. So I felt like it should be in pretty good shape. So I was like really frustrated with it. It was distracting because like when I was playing game, you hear click, 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 click. And it's one of those sounds that like gets into your eardrums. It's hard to ignore. And I got kind of obsessed about it. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. I need to do something about this. And I tried to, dust it off. That didn't help. And I was looking to see if something was stuck in there and I couldn't really see anything really. And I got real frustrated. So I went to YouTube. I figured, you know what? I'm going to try to fix this myself. A lot of people said that if the fan makes noise, if you just clean off the fan, like give it a deep clean, that'll fix most of the problems. And that was giving me some hope. So I went to YouTube. Shout out to YouTuber Tinkerman Mick on YouTube. He had a very simple and straightforward tutorial about how to open up your Xbox X and how to clean the fan. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go for it and just see what happens. Because I didn't want to send it in. They always send it back to you with your hard drive wiped. And that's always a big fucking hassle and cost money. And it's like, it was still working. It was just like annoying, right? So I like, okay, fine. I got the tools. I got these specialized computer tools. I got a pry tool. I got like a T8 screwdriver and all this other shit. And I was like, got my big can of compressed air. So I did some surgery on the Xbox, popped the back off, which actually was a lot harder than you think it might be. But I got in there. And I got to say, I am not a computer architect, but the inner workings of the Xbox X, pretty elegant. I got to say, it was like nice and neat. Everything was like neatly put in there. Everything was well organized. I mean, I'm sure that some PC people out there have some complaints or can see problems with it. But like from a layman's perspective, I'm like, this looks like a pretty good machine, pretty well put together. I admire the cleanliness and the orderliness of it. So I looked in there and you know what else was in there, folks? You know what else was in there? If you open up the back of your Xbox X and you look at the fan, there's a little picture of Master Chief in there. I am not kidding at all. I posted a picture in the Videogames Discord. You can see it there. I think I posted on Blue Sky as well. I can't remember. But there's a little fucking picture of Master Chief for no reason. It serves no purpose. It's just for fun. Somebody at Xbox was like, yeah, man, Master Chief is cool. We're going to put him in the Xbox. There he is. And you can see a little picture of Master Chief's helmet right on the fan for no reason. I was like, what the hell? What is Master Chief doing in my Xbox? Very weird. But I got the thing open, pulled the fan out. There was, I don't know what, like a little something had fallen into the fan and it was like kind of stuck on the blade. And I think it was offsetting the balance of the blade by just enough to make it make a noise. So I scraped that thing off, like dust clump or something. I don't know what it was, dirt of some kind. Gave it a good scrub down, blasted with air, put the fan back in, close it back up, and it works like a dream. It's perfect. It's silent again. Fan's running well. Xbox is running well. So that was like a big victory for me. I was really proud of that. And it was pretty easy. Pretty damn easy. I don't know that I would want to do anything other than that. I think opening up the back to give it clean is about as far as I would go because I am not an electronics person. But that was pretty easy. And I got some real tangible results in a hurry, so that was really cool. So shout out to Tinkerman Mick on YouTube. Thank you very much for that awesome video. That really helped me out a lot. And yay for me for being able to get that done without destroying my Xbox X. Before we move on to the rest of the stuff, I do want to give a shout out to Mike Susky, good man Mike Susky, who former Game Critics writer, or sometimes Game Critics writer, whenever he got something cooking. He sent in his top 3 of the year, and me, dumbass that I am, I somehow missed it. I thought I'd collected all of the submissions, and I don't know how it slipped through the cracks, Mike. I really apologize, but he sent them in. And I wanted to make sure that I included those because I want to honor everybody's contributions. And I felt super bad about missing it. So we're going to make it up to Mike right now by reading his top 3 and his nominations. So Mike Susky's top 3 of 2025. Number 3, Sectori, a game I'm considering uninstalling just so I'll spend time on other things. Okay. Sounds like a problem. Number 2, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. No explanation needed at this point. Yep. Point taken. Gotcha. Number 1, which was a big surprise to me. Number 1, Baby Steps, which is one of the ones I didn't get to, which I need to get to. It's on my short list of things to play soon. He said, come for the masochistic platforming, stay for the surprisingly wholesome, absurdist mumblecore fable about male insecurity. Wow, that sounds like heavy content that I would be interested in seeing how it gets covered in this game. Plus, I'm always up for these like really super tough physics-based fuck you games. I really I enjoy those if I click with them. This is something I'm going to get to pretty soon. He said, worst, Terrifier, the arcade game. Didn't explain why. I think it's a pinball game that has the Terrifier theming, if I'm remembering correctly. He didn't say what was wrong with it, but I mean, must be bad. Bonus category for Mike Susky. Actual best game I played in 2025, regardless of whether or not it was actually new, will allow it. The upresed F-Zero GX port on the Switch 2's GameCube app. Always nice to return to a childhood favorite and confirm that it still got the juice. Also giving an honorable mention to Angeline Era, a late arrival that I could definitely see being top 3 worthy, although I'm a ways off from finishing that. Interesting. I don't know anything about Angeline Era, but I've been hearing it pop up here and there. I should probably Google it. I think the reason I don't know anything about it is I'm pretty sure it's PC only at this point, and y'all know I don't really play a lot on PC unless it's like porn or something really, really, really special, and I'm not sure that this one qualifies as either, but I should check into it because it just sounds... It's come up so often that it is now notable to me, and I feel like I have had enough of a heads up that I should poke my nose into it and see what it's all about. So, all right, Mike, thank you very much for your top 3. I apologize again for missing it the first time. Totally my bad. Super sorry about that. But I believe that's the only one we missed for whatever reason. But there you go. Spotlight on Mike Susky's top 3. Excellent. Good choices. And one more reason to get to Baby Steps ASAP. All right, let's see what else we got on the docket here. Oh, yeah, right. Stuff we published this week. As editor of Game Critics, I like to shine a little spotlight on things you may have missed if you haven't hopped over lately. If you do, right now, I can wait if you like. Go ahead and pause. I'll wait for you. You can see stuff like this. And what do we have this week? We have Darren Foreman published a review for Hot Shots Golf, the brand new one. Adam Sharman published Seance of Blake Manor. That looked like a real humdinger. I'm very much looking forward to playing that one. Tom Stone covered Mole Maiden. Looks like a kind of a Bossavania. They're trying to get their own genre off the ground, but didn't quite get there. We also have CJ Salcedo's top picks of the year, and I published every game that I played this year. If you want to see what the life of this particular guy looks like when it comes to games, treading the content mill for both podcast and website, I played 240 some games for the show and for the website. I list out whether I finished them or not, and you can get a good sense of like how my year looked. So that's quite a few games there. And that's what we got at GameCritics.com this week. There's more stuff coming. There's always some interesting stuff in the pipe. Beyond that, you can check out our YouTube channel. That is at GameCritics.com videos for all hand-curated stuff. Eugene's got a few pieces coming. I think he's leaning into a lot of quick like Let's Plays lately, which is cool, covering more games that way. And we've got some hand-curated trailers. If you see a trailer on that channel, you can know for a fact that one of us at the site really liked it a lot. And in fact, I just posted one that looked like a fucking banger. It was from Harebrained Schemes, and it was called Grafted, I think. If you go to our channel, you can check it out. It looked fucking wild. It looked like a guy who had the torso. Okay, so like a guy who's got a gun. It's a shooty, top-down, three-quarter isometric type shooty game. coming in 2026. But the hook and why they call it grafted was like he had a lady with him, sorta, but it wasn't an entire lady. It was like half a lady. It was the upper torso of a woman. I have no idea who this woman is. And she was like, had like flesh and veins and stuff that were connected to his chest. And it kind of looked like he was hugging her, but also they were like joined, like physically, like fleshly. And he was kind of carrying her, but she was also stuck to him. And they were running together through this area, shooting bad guys. It looked fucking crazy. And I am super inclined to try anything from Harebrained Schemes. They are the creators of a lot of fucking great games, including Lamplighters League, which is a fucking all-timer for me. So I don't know what Grafted's all about, but boy, I'm sure going to check that out. And the trailer's up there on our YouTube channel if you want to see that for yourself. Ooh, wild. Gross, but also very wild. A couple more things to get through. Just a heads up, we do have a Patreon supporting this show. All the costs of So Videogames, the podcast you're listening to right now in real time, and its sister site, GameCritics.com, are paid for out of my very own pocket. This pocket right here. And if you love the show, you love the site, I would invite you to chip in to help me keep it all running. If everybody listening would chip in just $1 a month, just one, $1 a month from everybody, every expense would be covered. And if you can afford it, I would super appreciate it. And I think that's all the preamble. It's a lot of preamble. All right, folks, let's kick this off with circlebacks, where I circle back to things I have covered in depth on previous episodes. We're not going to get into all the details right now, but just think of this as a quick update to let you know if my thoughts have changed on something for better or for worse after spending more time with it. Let's see. Circling back to Deathless, the Hero's Quest. This is a 2D roguelike deck builder coming from somewhere in Eastern Europe with super beautiful artwork. It is lovely to look at this game. The animation is just like a dream. So clean, so nice, so colorful. Not much to say other than I'm still trying to complete the game. You have to beat it with 4... Okay, well, you don't like beat it. Like, you have to beat 4 different campaigns with 4 different characters. And then once you do that, I believe that opens the path to the ultimate last final confrontation. Really similar to like Slay the Spire, where you had to like beat it with everybody in order to open the door to the last boss. And also, fuck you, the Slay the Spire. Fuck you. I'm still mad about this. Slay the Spire is one of my white whales. It's not my biggest white whale, but it is definitely a white whale because I spent so much time on that game and I came so close to beating it so many times, but I never did. It's just a brutal run to the end in Slay the Spire. Like, pretty unfair. That aside, Deathless, the Hero's Quest has been great. I love the difficulty selections. I love the options you have. I love the different characters. They play so differently. And I love just looking at the art. Nothing really to report other than it's still awesome. And I'm still chugging away at it. And I think more people should give it a shot. If you're interested in roguelikes, in deck builders, or in interesting stuff from Eastern Europe, I think Deathless, the Hero's Quest is fucking great. And I think more people would really like it if they gave it a shot. Other than that, my only other circle back is Graveyard Keeper, which I've talked about a bunch of times on the show. But this is it, folks. I am going to finish it this time. I've started it like 2, 3, 4 times before. And I love it. I love it every single time. But it's such a huge game. It is a massive, massive game. It's going to take me, gosh, I don't know, at least 100 hours, if not more, to finish this game. But god damn it, it's worth it. I love playing this game. I love how intricate it is. I love how complex it is. I love how nuanced and all the little ideas. And they've put the developers, Lazy Bear Games, who I've said many times is low-key one of the best developers out there. Their games get like no attention whatsoever, but I think every single one of them has been great. Punch Club 2, Graveyard Keeper. I think there's 1 or 2 other ones. They're all just really fun games. They have put out DLC, and each DLC is like this like cool thing. Like in the beginning, you're a guy taking care of a graveyard. One of the DLCs adds zombies so that you can like, but friendly zombies, so you can like employ them to do work for you. And right now I've got zombies in my farm doing zombie farming, so I don't have to do the farming anymore. You can have them ferrying stuff back and forth for you and doing menial tasks. One of the DLCs adds a refugee camp that needs your help, and so you go to help them build better lodgings and, you know, get food and get stabilized. One of the DLCs adds an inn. So you run an inn, you have to buy the land, you build the house, and then like you have dinner parties there, and there's a bunch of side quests involved with that. And there's one that adds a secret part to the underground basement of your house. It's like a soul reclamation chamber, which kind of is like a Ghostbusters kind of a thing where you're trying to help people move on to the afterlife. And that all that's in addition to just kind of figure out the main quest where you're trying to figure out how to get back to your wife. A lot of details there. I'm not going to get into it. But man, it's great. I love it. there's a lot of crafting, but it doesn't really feel like crafting because of how they handle it in this game. Rather than just having one giant menu, you actually have to like go to these different stations and collect stuff. It kind of feels, I don't want to say more real, but it does kind of feel more real to me in that the way that it's organized in my head makes a lot of sense. The way they do it in Graveyard Keeper, you have to build a little area where it's like your workshop, but it's not just a crafting table. You've got like a tree stump where you chop logs, and you've got a table where you carve stone, and you've got a table saw where you make planks, and you've got a furnace where you melt glass. And like you have all these different things, and for whatever reason, it just seems to make more sense in my head, and it doesn't feel as tedious or grindy as it does in other games. But in addition to that, there is combat, there's searching the land, there's a bunch of different characters to talk to, tons of side quests. It's just the shit. I fucking love Graveyard Keeper, and this time I've gotten further than I've ever gotten before. I'm doing a little bit every day, and I'm going to make it happen. I will make my way through this game, and then I will check this one off my list, and I'll be so happy and satisfied that I did. I love, if anybody from Lazy Bear is listening, I am like probably your biggest fan. I think your games are all fantastic. Please reach out. I would love to talk to you. Would love to just like offer you some support, hugs, I don't know, something. I feel like Lazy Bear needs more love. And I think that, just side note quickly, if anything I've said about Graveyard Keeper sounds good, you should get it on either PC or Xbox. Those are the only two platforms that have all the DLC. And if you like it, you're going to want all the DLC. So even though I believe it's on all the platforms, you can only get the full meal deal on Xbox or PC. Just heads up. There you go. All right, I think that is all the circlebacks for now. Let's move forward and get into the main event. So let's see here. Main portion of the show. You know, if you look at my every games I played last year, there's like, a couple hundred games on there easily. And, of course, I can't finish all those. And for many of them, you just dip in a little bit. Sometimes you just want to check something out real fast, get a taste for something. They don't all click, right? But I do want to just give them a shot. So as an example of something that doesn't click, I got a code for Traveler's Refrain from PR. So thank you very much for sending that. I didn't know much about it. And the trailers, I guess I was a little bit not sure of what kind of experience it was. I thought it was going to be some kind of an action game with like music involved in it. And maybe it is, but this is a great example of like, we are so pressed for time, those of us who are on the content mill. I'm sure other podcasters, other writers know exactly what I'm talking about, where you just can't spend a week on a game, right? You've got to get in. And if it's amazing, then you make the time as best you can. But a lot of the games just feel sometimes, and I don't want to sound harsh, but it's like sometimes you play a game and you're like, this just isn't worth my time. Like, it's just not worth my time. It's mediocre, or it's just something about it isn't clicking, or you've got like none other things that you're more excited about. I mean, you just have to make hard choices. There just isn't enough time in a human lifespan. There's not enough hours in the day. There's not enough time in a week. You just can't get to everything. You can't give everything a full shake. And so this is one of the times when I like immediately bounced on something, and I feel like I should get back to it, but I put the code for Traveler's Refrain in my Switch and started up, and just right away it feels like something's off. Like something feels weird about it. I think the art is not the greatest. I'm not really vibing with the art, and y'all know art is really, really important to me. Visuals, video games. I need the video part. Like, and it doesn't have to be hyper realistic or anything. I mean, have a style, have a theme, have a motif, but like whatever you do, like lean into it to make it catchy or make it sharp or cute or cohesive at the very least, whatever. Something about Traveler's Refrain just really just did not look great at the beginning, and that was kind of a bad feeling. I don't even know exactly what it is. It just kind of looked kind of like messy a little bit untidy. I kind of struggled to put words into it. But then as I start playing it, right off the bat, it's like a different kind of experience. I think it's more of a Zelda-like experience, I think, and that's not what I was prepared for. And so I start walking around and I get lost like right off the bat. Like I think their visual signposting wasn't good. And so one of the first things that happened was a monster starts to chase you, and I don't know where I'm supposed to go. Like, it's not clear to me where they want me to run. And so I run back the way that I came, and I go back to the beginning of the game, and there's nothing there. And then I go back to where the monster was, and the monster's gone. And so I guess it was just kind of this weird, I don't know what was supposed to happen there, but nothing really happened there. And so that was kind of something that put me off. And I'm just getting these little red flags of like, okay, not really into this. It's not happening. And I think that for most games, most developers put their focus on the beginning of a game because that's where everybody's going to start. When someone plays your game, they're going to see the beginning, but not everybody's going to see the end. So most developers put most of their time and effort and polish into the beginning. And to me, if the beginning doesn't like immediately pop, it does not give me great confidence that the rest of the game is going to go well, because in general, that's where most people put their effort. So I don't really even have a lot to say. I'm not even criticizing it. I don't even have any critique about it, but this is kind of like a slice of life into what it's like to be somebody who has to produce content for a podcast or for a website. Just in the first few minutes of playing Traveler's Refrain, I'm like, okay, I'm having a mild allergic reaction to this. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to see more. I feel like it's kind of not popping. And I look at my list, and I've literally, if I look over at my list right now, I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got about 18 other games that are waiting their turn. And that's just today. I haven't even really gone through email, and it's going to really just pick up from here on out, right? So I've got 18 games that are waiting, who all want to have a shot at being on the podcast or being at GameCritics.com. And I'm playing this one, which isn't really catching me. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to make a executive decision to just bounce. So I feel like I should come back to it and give it more of a shot, but I got to be honest. I've had it in my Switch, and I've had my Switch on my side table where I sit, and that's where I play Switch every night. And for like the last 3 or 4 nights in a row, I've looked at it, and I know that Traveler's Refrain is waiting, and I choose to do something else, like every single time. I will read a book. I read a book rather than play a game. I never do that. I will watch a cartoon. I will pet my dog. I will do the dishes. I have found other things to do other than play Traveler's Refrain every single night for the last few nights I've been looking at it. And that to me says this is not its time. I'm not going to delete it. Maybe I'll come back to it, but I can't put more time into it. So I don't really have a lot to say about that game, but I do have, this little picture to paint for you about what it's like to be on the content mill and how you have to juggle your mental health and the huge backlog of games that anybody in this position inevitably has, and what it's like to have to keep up on a pace. I mean, you just can't devote 5 days to every single game that comes down the pipe. There's no way. So, again, to be clear, this is not a review of Traveler's Refrain. I don't even really have any comments or specific criticisms or anything. It was just like an inopportune beginning that kind of turned me off, and I need to put more time into it, but I thought it was kind of illustrative as to how things can go sometimes. So Traveler's Refrain, I'll come back to it at some point probably, and we'll see how that goes. Moving on is a game that I did not plan to cover, but it was on Game Pass, and I figured, what the heck, why not? Dome Keeper, which is, I've actually heard about this for a while, and it's been on PC only for a long time, but now it's on console, it's on Game Pass. I'm not sure if it's on Switch or PlayStation. I'm sure it would be fine on either one of those platforms. This is an indie, I believe it's an indie little game, pixel-based, small thing where you are a little character with a jetpack, and you crash land onto a planet. When you land, your ship becomes a little dome, and it burrows into the ground underneath it. And so what you have to do is collect resources, basically. So you go into the ground underneath, you have to drill with your little guy, and you just drill straight down. You'll eventually hit some bedrock or something, and then you have to go to the side or whatever, but you're just drilling through. And you'll find yellow resources, purple resources, I don't know, whatever. Different things that are minerals or rocks or something like that. You bring them back up. You attach a little line to them with your jetpack. And so it looks like you've got a bunch of ropes coming out of your jetpack. You bring them back up to the dome. The dome processes them. They become upgraded material. And then you can upgrade your dome to survive various waves of enemies coming in to destroy you. And that's basically the gist of it. You land. You collect resources. There's a certain amount of time between each wave of monsters. You want to mine as much as you can, bring those resources back to your dome before the monsters get there. When the monsters get there, you jump inside the little turret of your dome, and you can shoot them to get them away from you. In the beginning, it's just 1 or 2 monsters, pretty easy, but then it gets more and more. They get more vicious and tougher, and eventually there's a big boss monster that comes, and if you beat that one, then you beat the run, and you can move on. So it's run-based. I guess it's also a roguelike, I suppose. There are some things you can unlock over time where you will, upgrade things. You can open different suits for your jetpack guy. You can open different domes. You start off with a dome that has a laser on it, but there's one that's got a big sword, and there's one that's got whatever, other stuff. You can find little upgrades as you dig that will give you different options that are different from run to run. I found one upgrade, which I thought was kind of fun. You find this little dinosaur buddy, so you can pick him up with your jetpack and drop him off, and he will dig for you like autonomously. So you point him in a direction and be like, go dig that way. And he'll just dig and dig and dig. And when he hits a wall, he'll fall asleep. And so you go back and check on him in a while. And he's got like all the stuff uncovered, and he dug a tunnel for you and stuff. So it's pretty fun at first. And it's pretty straightforward. You get the gist of it pretty easily. And I think it's fine. It's fine. I had a lot of fun playing it. My first run, did I win? I think I won. My first run. It was pretty close, but I did. And like once I had done one run of like digging the stuff, bringing the materials back, upgrading the dome, playing with the dinosaur, killing the enemies, I feel like, okay, I got it. I feel like I got it. So I had a good time with it, but it's not the kind of thing that I really feel the urge to play anymore. I don't think that there's really any overarching story or campaign to get through. I think you just kind of pick your options when you start a run, and you just play it because you just enjoy playing it, right? Like there's no quests, there's no, I don't know, like no plot to it. It's just like a straight up gameplay game, which is fine. But I feel like I had the complete experience the first time through, and I don't really feel a lot of pull to go back to it, because I feel like it's going to just be more of the same, you know, like the monsters come, you dig some resources, you bring them back, the monsters come. I mean, I get it. It's cool, but like, I just don't want to play any more of it. So I liked it, but I'm also done with it. And I think it only took me one run to feel done with it. Interestingly, I played a game that was a lot like this before called Wall World. Now with Dome Keeper, you're on a horizontal surface and your dome is on the ground. On Wall World, you're on a vertical surface and your dome is on a vertical surface. It's on a wall. Otherwise, they're almost exactly the same game. And I played Wall World first, even though everybody said Dome Keeper came first, which I believe. So I did like Wall World, but again, it's essentially the same thing. Some parts of it were better, some parts of it were worse. But like, if you put the two games side by side, you would think that they were definitely siblings. So the developers of Wall World, I think, were very generous to themselves when it came to borrowing things from Dome Keeper. If I were the developers of Dome Keeper, I'd be pretty pissed. It feels like Wall World is pretty much a straight lift from Dome Keeper. Shameless even, some might say. But either one of those games is fun. Dome Keeper was fun. Wall World was also fun. But I think that they both kind of run out of tricks pretty soon. And if you don't enjoy just doing the run, there's not really a lot to kind of draw you through either one of those. But I think they're kind of neat to try. I liked them. Just, I was done. It's like, you know, you eat a piece of cheesecake, you're like, yeah, this is really good. I like it. Do I want to eat the entire cheesecake? No. Do I even want two pieces? Not usually. Just one is good, and then I'm good. I'm fine. I'm ready to move on to something else. I don't need the entire thing. So it's kind of that feeling of like, I liked it, but I don't want any more. So there you go. That is Dome Keeper, and I guess also Wall World, sort of, but mostly Dome Keeper. Moving on to Avowed. This one is also on Game Pass, and the reason I got to this, it came out last year, first person, open world-ish, RPG, fantasy themed, etc., etc. I saw this, and even though it was from a developer that I like, oh gosh, what is their name? I always forget their name. Obsidian. Yes, I love Obsidian. Even though it's from a developer, like I saw it when it came out last year, and it just nothing about it really spoke to me, and I was pretty busy with other things, and so I didn't make time for it. But if you may recall, on last episode, the Game of the Year show, Carlos Rodella chose Avowed as his #1 game of the year. I was very surprised by that. Did not see that coming at all. And so I was like, wow, okay, well, this must be something worth looking into then, if Carlos liked it that much. Now, his tastes and mine don't always line up, but we do like a lot of the same games. And he made a pretty compelling case for it. So I was like, you know, it's on Game Pass still. It's worth a shot. I'll get into it. So basically, Avowed, like I said, it's a first person, but they recently patched in a third person mode. I played in third person. I thought it worked just fine. I did not want to play it in first person. I'm not usually a first person kind of guy. So third person worked fine. I guess it's taking place in some kind of universe that Obsidian has already established. I was not familiar with it, like the Pillars of Eternity universe. They reference Pillars, I believe. They also reference Deadfire, which is one of the games in that series, I think. So I'm not familiar with that world and that theme. It had a very like Oblivion-esque feel to it, like the way that the people were talking and just the world and kind of what it looked like. It felt a lot like Oblivion or, Elder Scrolls kind of a thing, which is fine. I mean, I know people really love those games. They're not my jam particularly, but I've played them and I think they're okay. So it was set in that world, which I don't really have any connection to and don't really have any feelings for. It starts out with you getting shipwrecked. You're like this inquisitor. You're going to this island because you hear about some kind of plague happening there. You get shipwrecked and you get jumped by people you don't know. You survive the attack, and then you got to just figure out your way through everything. You make your way to the nearest town. You meet the people in charge. You kind of talk about your situation, and then you head out into the woods. I mean, it feels, not to be unkind, but it feels like a very straightforward third-person RPG kind of a thing, but it's kind of scaled back. I feel like the interesting thing about this game was the combat. I really actually did like the combat. I felt like it was fun to play. It felt good. You do specialize with various skill trees, but you can kind of switch back and forth between anything. I had like a great sword, but then I was also doing magic, so you can kind of go back and forth between all those things. You can mix and match as you go. So you're just like one kind of character, but you've got lots of abilities. They don't lock you into just being a wizard or just being a fighter. You can mix and match and specialize and have a pretty broad base about what you want to do, which I think is fun. And I think the combat was janky. It wasn't super tight, but it was still kind of fun. Like you have these little different spells you can do. Like one was like an ice spell that froze people, and one was like a blowtorch spell. But then you could like switch into greatsword and like whack people. And it wasn't like Dark Souls like level quality combat, but I mean, I think it was pretty fun for what it was. And that was entertaining for a while. Otherwise, you just kind of walk around these open world zones. It's not an entire open world, but they're pretty large zones that you're in. And I think the map function works really well. They have like lots of icons on the map that are very helpful. I thought that the map was really well done. And you just kind of walk around and talk to people. And they kind of just were telling me about stuff I didn't really care about too much. And then you have these various quests that you got to do. And it just kind of felt very, I don't know. I mean, I hate to say like uninspired, but it kind of felt like 10 or 15 other games that I've played where you're like in this open world zone and you got these basic same kind of like, Oblivion-esque RPG elements to it. And it just was like nothing. I didn't get like a big hook, right? Like the combat was fun, but it wasn't enough of a hook. And I just didn't find an in for me, and like nothing about it clicked. So I think it was pretty colorful. Carlos said that a lot of the companions you eventually find are pretty cool, which I believe him. But it just felt like generic fantasy RPG. And I just was like, after a couple hours, I think I got pretty deep into the first zone, and I'm like, okay, like I get it. Like I'm just walking around, picking up a bunch of shit off the ground and upgrading weapons and armor. And it just felt very like I've done this 100 times kind of a thing. So I didn't find a good hook. I didn't click with the characters. I didn't click with the story. I'm not a fan of this particular setting. I think it does what it does well, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I can understand why Carlos chose it as his game of the year. I think this is very much a Carlos game. I know he likes to do the melee stuff. He likes upgrading and feeling more powerful as he goes along. I know he likes open world, and I know he likes places he can just kind of sink into, and that's great. That's very Carlos. It makes perfect sense. But this just wasn't doing it for me. Not enough calorie dense content, and I'm not really aching to like lose myself in a giant fantasy world. I'm not looking to spend 50 hours kind of doing this thing. So a little bit too much filler, not enough killer, but it's okay. I mean, it's on Game Pass. Give it a shot if you like. But yeah, not for me, I don't think. But I did think it was worth investigating, and I'm glad I checked it out. And I think it has given me a reinforcing of my understanding of Carlos's game tastes and how he is different than I am. And that makes perfect sense. So I get it. So not for me. Thought it was fine, but not for me. But maybe it's for you. Who knows? That is Avowed from Obsidian. And as I said, I played that in Game Pass. You can play it for free, the basic version, and see if you like it before you spend any money on it. All right, last game of the show, Echoes of the End. I believe this is coming from an Icelandic developer. I heard a friend of the show, John from over at Gaming the Wild, talk about this one a while ago. Kind of got my interest piqued, and I managed to get a code for it. So thank you to PR for that. This is an interesting one. It is a double A type production. I feel like the studio is aiming high, and I feel like this is a pretty good debut. They've got some areas to work on, but I think overall it was well, let's talk about it, shall we? Basically, you're in this kind of fantasy world, echoes of the end. At the beginning, I think they talk about like some kind of civilization falling or something, and there's some kind of, I don't know, something happened or whatever. I didn't really get a big like post-apocalyptic or post-disaster kind of sense. Maybe that comes later. But in the beginning, it just feels like kind of a fantasy world. You play as a woman who is a very strong woman of color, which I thought was cool. I dug it. She's like a warrior type, but she's also got some magic powers that are linked to these crystals throughout the land. She's with her half brother, I believe he was, and they're a team. You don't control him, but he tags along and you guys fight together and stuff. You're all wearing armor and fur and everything, and the world is like pretty linear, and that's not a complaint whatsoever. Please don't misunderstand me. You kind of like go to these little combat zones and you fight, and then like you do a little traversal zone where you're on a path. You do some light platforming, you do some climbing up ledges and stuff like that, jumping across gaps and so forth. You'll get to a puzzle zone where there's like a puzzle to solve. They're always like environmental puzzles. And then you'll go back to a combat zone. So it's like, you know, I don't know, like little areas connected by walkways. And I think that's a fine design, especially for somebody who is starting out as a developer. I think that's okay. I think the graphics are actually pretty good. Like the landscape looks really great. I have to imagine that it looks like Iceland. I've never been there, but I bet a lot of money that's what it looks like if you go there. Really scenic and green and some rocks and the ocean, and it all just looks really nice. The environments look really nice. I think the characters look really nice too. I think they look better than I was expecting for a small studio. I think the main character especially has a good look to her, and I think it's great. I'm not going to spoil anything about the story, but things happen and things progress, and I mean, it's fine enough to play. I will say the combat is the high point for me. I think the combat was actually pretty fun, and I was enjoying that. There are sliders for difficulty, and I started on the easiest one, and it was way too easy. So I kicked it up a couple notches, then I found a good sweet spot for myself somewhere in the middle, and I felt like that was a good challenge, but also not too hard, but also pretty still fun, and, you know, it was fine. But the combat is fun. I think you don't have a huge skill tree, but the skills you have are fine. You can parry, and the parrying is like really easy, which is great. So kudos to the developers for making it easy. Thank you very much. You have various abilities you can power up. I think 4 or 5 different disciplines. I leaned mostly into the melee combat, so I had like a power beam I could shoot out for my sword, and if I parried, I could do like a powerful riposte type attack, and I don't know, like stuff like that, like stuff that really increased the power of my melee ability. But you can do like life enhancement, you can do magic enhancement, you can do stuff that increases the capability of your partner, so you can put some points into the skill to where your friend with you would be more effective in combat, stuff like that. So that was fine, and I honestly did think the combat was pretty fun. I did like the combat. Traversal was no, I can't say it was fine. Traversal and puzzles kind of go together, and I think that this is where the studio struggled. I had a lot of problems with navigating the areas where the developers tried to put in puzzles that incorporated motion, specifically vertical motion. So a couple times I would get to a puzzle where and there's lots of elements. Sometimes you're moving things, sometimes you're dissolving things, sometimes you're building things. There's a time travel element, not a time travel, but a time manipulation element in some of the puzzles where, like, let's say for example, there's a bridge and it's crumbled, but you activate this magic stone and you can uncrumble it, and so the bridge comes back. There's a couple of those things, and I hit some problems where I felt like the problems were pretty noticeable and pretty major, and the fact that they were still there was a little bit concerning to me. So for example, I was in one area and I got really stuck because I knew I needed to get up on top of this ledge, and there just wasn't anything there other than the obvious path in front of me. There was a piece of wood that you could time manipulate, and it seemed like you were supposed to move that piece of wood like it was up and then it fell, and so you could manipulate time to make it go back up or halfway up, or, you know, like you could go through the cycle of the piece of wood going up and going back down. And it seemed to me like you should manipulate that so you could jump onto it and then jump into this upper area I wanted to get to. And I could not get it to work. It just didn't fucking work. If I put the wood too high, I couldn't climb up to it. If it was too low, I couldn't jump up off of it. I just couldn't fucking figure it out. And I was going back and forth. And I'm like, oh my God, like this seems like a pretty straightforward, simple game. It can't be this difficult. I'm not that stupid. I know I can figure this out. Process of elimination, applying logic. There's only a couple options here. And I just fucking couldn't figure it out. So I got really frustrated. And what ended up happening was I held onto the piece of wood while it was moving. And I just ended up clipping myself through it. So like the wood was still there, but I kind of like was fucking with it and I was jumping and the game just kind of like pushed me through the wood. And I got to the other side of the wood, which got me to the place where I needed to go. So I made it, but it felt like it was a cheat, like it was a glitch. It was a problem. I shouldn't have done that. So I got real frustrated because I couldn't figure it out. And I went to YouTube to see how I was supposed to solve it. And when I watched a couple streamers, every single streamer did the exact same thing I did. They glitched or clipped through the wood because there was no other way to fucking solve it. And I was like, what? How is... that can't be the answer. That's not how games work. You're not supposed to do that. I felt like I cheated the game, but everybody else on YouTube was doing the exact same thing. So that sucked. And the exact same thing happened to me later on in a different area where you're riding an elevator and you have to time manipulate the elevator in order to get to this upper area. And it just didn't fucking work. I couldn't get it to work. And I'm like, it can't be. It can't be. They cannot be expecting you to glitch through this thing again. And so I tried it again. And lo and behold, that's exactly what it was. The elevator didn't stop in a place where you could get off of it. But if you jumped at the wrong place when the thing was moving, you just clip through it. And you got to the other side. And like, I looked at people on YouTube again. And again, that's how they were doing it. They were clipping through it. And I'm like, okay. Folks, developers, like, if multiple streamers are on YouTube posting videos about this is how you get through the game, you need to fix that. Like, that can't be. That's not how games work. You can't be expecting people to cheat like the engine and the physics of your game in order to clip your character through what is supposed to be a solid object to get to where you're going. It doesn't work. That wasn't working. I had other issues too. Like, and later on, there's a physical puzzle where you're climbing some kind of like rope ladder thing on the wall. And there's these big blocks that are swinging back and forth and they're trying to knock you off. And I did it so fucking many times. I did it like 20 times and couldn't get it to work because the timing just didn't seem right. It didn't seem like there was enough time to be as far along as you needed to be before you could make it in order to dodge the block. I was like, there's no way this works. It can't work. And so what I ended up doing was waiting for one of the blocks to come towards me, jump towards it. I was trying to hit the block on the edge so that I would clip off of it. And I did. I clipped off of it and it shot me forward and I landed to where I needed to go. And I'm like, that can't be the answer. So you need to fix your puzzles. Like, these puzzles are broken and they don't work and the timing is not good. And they're so frustrating. And it's double frustrating to figure out the only way you can get through them is by breaking them. Like, you don't actually do them legitimately. Not acceptable. Not fucking acceptable. So that's a big problem. And so ultimately, even though I did like the combat, I thought the combat was fun. And I did like that the main character was a really strong warrior, woman of color. Voice acting was great. The scenery, panoramas were great. Combat was fun. But the puzzles were just so broken and so frustrating. Like, it really ruined the experience. And I will say that even though I liked aspects of this game, it wasn't like an amazing game. Like, it wasn't super fun. Like, I wasn't super into it. It's one of those games where you're playing it and it's fun enough. And if there's no obstacles in your way, you're going to keep playing it because it's just really easy to play it. Walking forward, killing enemies, having some fun. You jump a couple platforms, no big deal. You move on, you kill some more enemies. Like, it's low calorie fun, small fun, but still fun. But it's not so fun that when you hit frustration that you're going to push through it. Like, it's not that good. And so that's kind of where I was at with this game. Like, I would have been perfectly happy to go all the way through it and roll credits and see the story. But there was too many instances of serious frustration. And I was not invested enough in the world and the characters and the gameplay in order to like want to push through the frustration to keep going. So as long as it's a smooth ride, as long as there's no friction, all's well. But the second something happened like that to where I got frustrated, I was like, this game isn't fun enough. that I actually want to go and YouTube a bunch of videos. This is not fun enough that I want to try this puzzle 25 times to get through it. Like, it's just not that good, not that fun, not that compelling. And so that's ultimately why I balanced. I just got to a place where I felt like the friction far outweighed the fun I was getting, and that's not a winning equation. At that point, I just bounced, deleted the game from my hard drive. So that sounds like, it sounds harsh, but I think that the developers were on the right track. I think they had the right idea, the tone. I haven't even mentioned this yet, but I think if I was to compare this game to something, I would honestly compare it to the most recent God of War. I think it's very similar to God of War in how they handle environmental design, in the tone and the themes and the vibe. It looks very much like it could be related to the God of War series, like the way that you handle the combat arena and the fights and the combos and stuff. Like, it feels like God of War. It's not as sophisticated, it's not as big, it's not as rich and deep, it's not as polished, but it seems very much like a AA attempt to deliver a God of War like experience. And I think that's fine. I was having an okay time. There's even a fucking boat. There's even a boat. Just like in God of War, when you're paddling around with Atreus or whatever, like, you're in a boat with your buddy here and you're like paddling through, you're talking. So like, I feel very much like it's pretty impossible to say that this game has not been heavily influenced by God of War. But you've got to nail that, right? Like, you've already got, so the bar has been set by God of War, and you got to at least come pretty close to that ballpark. And they just, the developers just did not have the skill to pull off like the environmental puzzles, but they kept going for it. And I think that they should have patched those. They should have removed them. They should have made them easier and focused on what they did better. I think they should have leaned into the storytelling, leaned into the characters, leaned into the combat, and just kept the platforming and puzzles a lot simpler than they were, because there was a lot of problems. So I appreciate what they did. I think they're going in the right direction. I hope that they survive as a studio. They clearly have some talent. I think they just needed to work on a few major things and make a couple different changes and maybe not stay the course when it came to these puzzles, because I think ultimately the puzzles are what killed it for me, and I bet they're probably going to kill it for a lot of people. So hopefully they survive and we'll make another game. I would certainly play another game from them. Hopefully they'll take some of this feedback to heart and craft an experience that is playing more to their strengths. But I think there's definitely a talent here. They just made a couple of mistakes that were pretty big ones and didn't course correct yet. Maybe in another 6 months they'll patch those bugs out and you can play through those puzzles no problem. That would be worthwhile. I might come back to it for that. But as it is right now, I would strongly recommend to the developers, please take a cold hard look at what you've turned out. Play to your strengths. Please take a look at the traversal and the puzzles and really fix those things. And if you can't fix them, do something else instead. Don't stick to your guns on these. It's not working for you. So there you go. Echoes of the End. Played that on PS5. Code from the publisher. Thank you very much. And that is going to do it for all of the games I'm talking about in the game portion of the show. Yep, but show's not over. Show's not over. Don't go anywhere. I mean, you can. I can't force you to stay. You're a free person in the world, and I can't do anything to make you listen to the rest of the show. But if you want to listen to the rest of the show, there is more show. Because, like many humans, I do spend a few minutes a week in front of screens. I don't have menus or life bars. That's right, folks. It's time for the TV and movie roundup. Got to go through this quickly because I am getting tired. Let's see. First up, Mythic Quest. Talked about this before. We're on season 2. It's going well. I think the show, which is supposed to be about game developers in kind of like an office-like scenario, they are pivoting away from the inter-office shenanigans and spending a lot of time on relationships. They're getting into like backstories from the characters. Some of the shows recently have been pretty heavy, pretty dark themes, pretty dark interactions between people, pretty emotional. So it's kind of an interesting turn for what is supposed to be ostensibly a comedy, but it's going really well. Like it. We're almost at the end of season 2. We'll see how that goes. I think 4 seasons overall. Just watched some of Miss Fisher's Modern Murder Mysteries. I don't know. It's been a while since I mentioned it, but the original Miss Fisher Murder Mysteries, one of my favorite shows of all time. It's an Australian TV series about a woman in the 20s. She's like independently wealthy, and she's really just independent in general. She goes around having sex with whoever she wants. She's got a gun. She drinks. She smokes. She has a car, her own car. She drives herself. She does her own stunts and stuff like that. Really a very forward-thinking woman of her time for like the 1920s and set in Australia. Oh, God, I love Miss Fisher. She's like so great as a character. Oh, man, I love that show. Love that show. It is just like the best show ever. Great costumes, great set, great themes, and the main actress, her name is Essie Davis. Ah, man, she's great. I love her, and that fucking show is so perfect. It is so perfect. Anyway, Miss Fisher wrapped up. Love the ending. Felt my heart go pitter pat at the end of that show. Just great stuff. So this is supposed to be her long lost niece, which she did not know she had. A little bit of a cheesy start, but I didn't care. They set it in the 60s. So the original series in the 20s. This is in the 60s. Women's liberation. Still in Australia. Her niece, Peregrine, is becoming a private detective, and she's got like romance going on. She's in the go-go boots. She's got like the mod hair and everything. It's really fun. The showrunners do a great job with it. I thought it was going to be too cheesy to be a spinoff, and I wouldn't care, but I actually do care. I think they've got a great supporting cast, a really female-forward supporting cast, fun episodes, fun content, fun action. It only ran for 2 seasons. I'm not sure why, and we're almost done with season 2, so it's a pretty short watch, but good so far. If you're in the market for like a comfy, cozy, 60s themed detective series with a lot of laughs, I think that one is pretty good. What else? I just watched a couple movies. We watched I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot. It was fine. Pretty straightforward. Nothing too fancy there. It was fine. We watched Virus from like 1999, starring Jamie Lee Curtis and a couple of other notable actors at the time, about a space virus that lands on a ship and it melds human flesh with robotics and turns people into these weird monsters. The script was fucking weird. If AI existed back then, I would have said it was written by AI, because some of the lines in the dialogue were just so whack. I'm like, did you guys read this? Did you guys even listen to this? Like, some of the lines just don't make sense. But, you know, it is what it was. Like, you know, it's from the 90s, so you know what kind of vibe you're in for there. Some of the monsters were kind of gross. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I know a lot of people said it was like one of the worst movies they ever saw. No, come on. Not nowhere near being the worst movie ever. I've seen many movies which were far worse than that. But it was just like, you know, average humdrum 90s film. So I don't know. If you want to see Jamie Lee Curtis running around a ship dodging meaty cyborgs, then I guess it's fine for an afternoon. The only other thing I've seen recently was Wicked for Good, the second part to Wicked. We made a big day of it. My wife is a big Wicked fan. And we watched the first movie to get back in the mood. And then we made some movie food. We made hot dogs. And we made shitty nachos, where you just get the shitty chips with the shitty cheese and some jalapeno if you're lucky. We had junior mints, and we had ice cream afterwards. Like the shit that you would get in a movie theater. We made that food. We ate that food. And then we watched Wicked for Good, which is part 2. And we just made a whole like home theater going experience. It was fun. I thought the movies are fine. I like number 1 better than number 2. But I will say it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch Wicked because it feels like it is about us right now. Yeah, it's the Wicked Witch. Yeah, it's Oz. But really, you know, Elphaba, the Green Witch, she is like people who are good people. People who stand up for things that are right. People who push back against everybody else. Even when everybody says you're wrong, you know that you're right. You stand up for yourself. That's who Elphaba is. Glinda, the Good Witch, the pink one, is the spineless liberal who like doesn't stand up for anything and just goes along with things, and as long as they're not inconvenienced, they don't fight for anything. And it just really made me think of that. And the wizard is like Trump, like, you know, doing terrible things, committing atrocities, being an asshole, taking away people's rights. I mean, it couldn't have been clearer. Like the way that the wizard was taking over the world, the way that Glinda was just going along with it, not rocking the boat, and the way that Elphaba was standing up against it. It is literally our time right now. And it was hard to not see that. And it was hard to enjoy the film because it feels like it is definitely speaking to us right now. It is telling us that we should be Elphaba. We should be pushing back. We should be fighting back. And it just couldn't have been clearer. It is about what is happening right now. And I just couldn't like detach from that and just enjoy it as a film. It was too of the moment. It was too on the nose. It's too real. And things in America are too raw right now. And so I just couldn't watch it as anything other than a cautionary tale about what's happening here in America. Unfortunately, not to give anything away, but Wicked, the book, has been out for ages, and Wicked, the Broadway play, has been out for ages. And so I'm guessing that most people probably have a pretty good idea of how this ends. I'm not going to spoil it here, but I will say I do not feel as though the end is earned, and I do not like the way it ended. But I think a lot of that is probably motivated by how I feel about the world right now. So overall, I mean, it was a showpiece. It was a spectacle. The special effects were crazy. Songs were good. It was all fine. But it just feels like it's about right now. And right now is kind of shitty. So anyway. All right, there you go, folks. That's a show. Before the closing music, we'd love for you to leave a review, share the show on social media, but most important of all, please recommend So Video Games to your friends, because nothing beats good old word of mouth. And as always, we'd love to get your questions and comments. You can hit me up directly, sovideogamespodcast@gmail.com. You can hit me up on social media on either Instagram or Blue Sky. It's my name, BradGallaway, always, no O's. You can also hit me in the So Video Games Discord, which is totally free of charge for any listeners to join. Just drop me a line and I will get you on board to continue the conversation. And finally, if you would like to support this show with the cost of running the podcast and also the cost of running GameCritics.com, you can do that over at patreon.com/the So Video Games Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and €1 helps that much more. Folks, that's going to do it for episode 469. Thank you again for joining me here on the So Video Games Podcast, and I'll see you next week.